Okay, and I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so quick, so this is the infrastructure squad, right? And what we're going to do today is we are going to set up a Jenkins server, right? Integrate it with GitHub such that whenever code is pushed to GitHub, right, it triggers off a build in Jenkins, and that application build is packaged and put in an S3 bucket, right? And that S3 bucket is set up with a Lambda trigger, and there's a Lambda function that automatically deploys that to an ElasticBeanstalk. Does that sound good? That's our objective here. Okay. So it's going to be an end-to-end automated build pipeline. We're going to set it up in the 1 hour and 15 minutes that we have. Go through all the steps and set it up from scratch. Okay. All right. So let's jump into it. So just a quick introduction of what Jenkins is. Jenkins is a build server, right? For a lot of programming languages like Java and C and C++, and even JavaScript applications, there's the raw source code, and then there's the compiled version. That is what is actually distributed. So Java code has to become compiled into jar files, right? Or, for them to be used. For Java web applications, they have to be actually deployed to like a Tomcat server, right? Now, you can do all those manually by running commands, but in a typical modern development environment, what you have is what's called a build pipeline, such that the developer just pushes code to a repository, and that repository triggers a build pipeline, and then takes that code, runs all the tests on it, compiles it, and then deploys it to a server. Okay? That is the typical end-to-end build pipeline. So Jenkins is a build server. It's not a new build server. It's been around for very many years, but it's also evolved and is actually quite robust and quite powerful. Okay. So in this class, we're going to attempt to take I think we'll go with the classroom project, maybe, or whichever one, or maybe the Beanstalk demo project. We'll take that project, it has its own repo, and we'll set it up such that whatever code is pushed to that repo, it's built and deployed to the build pipeline. And so what we're going to be looking for now is that whenever, rather than what we did in the last class where we manually put the file, uploaded the file into an S3 bucket, we expect our trigger to now happen from a git push command, okay, on the reference local computer, and the developer will not need to do anything else, and the Beanstalk will be up to automated automatically. Okay, so just a reminder of the pieces that we need to get this done. We need an EC2 instance that we install Jenkins on and run Jenkins as a web application, right? We need to, we're going to need our ElasticBeanstalk application. We need our S3 bucket. We need our Lambda function that has the S3 as a trigger for it and deploys to the Beanstalk, right? And that's it really. We have GitHub, and the configuration setup we need is for GitHub to trigger Jenkins. Jenkins does the build, puts it in S3. S3 triggers the Lambda function. That takes up the file, creates a new application version, in the beanstalk and updates the beanstalk environment. Boom. That's the end-to-end process. Okay.
So can I just walk you through that again? Mm-hmm. So the beginning of it is up, right?
GitHub.
Okay. Fine. I think I get it.
Okay. So it's gonna start with GitHub, but for us to do it, let's get started here. So first thing I'm gonna do here is let me make sure I'm in AWS. I should be signed in already. Okay. Let's go here. Let me just build up a bunch of links. Sure. All right. So start here. And remember, you can just click on service rather than always going to the home. You just click on here. I'll go to EC2. All right. Okay. So here we're going to launch a new instance. Okay. And we're going to use an Ubuntu 18.04. Okay. So we want this one. Yeah, I think we'll just do the free tier eligible 18.04. Okay. So we're going to select this instance. And we go with the by86 64-bit. Okay. Now the instance size that we'll go with, let's just keep it at T2 micro, free tier. All right. So let's preview and launch this. I will just go with launch. And let's use an existing key pair. Yeah. So we can use our test instance key pair. All right. Check that box. And I'll launch this instance. The steps we've performed here are pretty straightforward. Like there's nothing. Is there anyone that has any questions about the steps so far?
Why did you name your EC2 instance?
Well, I'm going to come into my running instances and name it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So right here, it's the only one without a name, and it's initializing, so I can see. So I'm going to name this here. I'm going to call this soft dev. No, let's say software dev Jenkins, right? Software dev Jenkins. So maybe that's so that I know what it is. So I'm just waiting for it to initialize. Okay. And you can connect to it either with the DNS, the public DNS, or the IP. So waiting for it to initialize, and then once it's done, then we'll try to connect to it. Okay, so while we're waiting on that, we know the URL here, right? So let's just come here. Actually, no, let me not jump too far ahead. Just be patient for a few more seconds. Push this. All right. Open up the terminal here. And you guys are practicing your Linux, right? Getting more comfortable with it. Very important.
Well,
All right.
I tried to install my dual boot, but for some reason it's not working for now. But
Okay. Well, what we can talk about it later, and I'll give you some tips.
okay.
All right. So I have that set up. So now I'm going to connect to that instance. I copy that public IP there. SH F9. Test instance, yes. And then I'm connecting it to an Ubuntu instance, so it's Ubuntu at that. All right. So I'm on the Ubuntu instance now. I'm going to sudo apt get install apt get update. Let's just sudo apt update. And that's just to make sure that all the packages are and the software sources are up to date. Okay. We're going to install Java. Sudo apt get install Java SDK, I think that's it. No. So here's where we go through the process. Say Ubuntu install Java. Okay, Ubuntu 18.04, how to install Java with apt. Exactly what we're looking for. Now we're looking for so the default GRE. Okay, this is it. To the app get install. Let's see the app install. This is what we want. But if I can Y there so that it doesn't ask me if I'm sure. That way it just installs very quickly. The next thing we can do here, while that is running, we can look for Ubuntu install Jenkins, right? And see, similar thing. DigitalOcean. All right.
And we have to do Java first because Jenkins runs on Java. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Jenkins is a Java application. So here we need to add the repository key. We just come here, copy this. That's done here. So we'll add the repository key. It's done. I will take this line, run that. That's done. I need to do sudo apt update again because we've added a new source. Okay, that's done. And I will do sudo apt install Jenkins. Now, of course, no one's going to expect you to memorize all these commands, which is why you can always look them up, right? Unless you install Jenkins every day as your job, you won't remember all this sequence from memory. This information is in the Jenkins documentation, though. If you go to the Jenkins website and you check the installation instructions, you will find these commands and these steps there. So, all right. So once we install Jenkins, the great thing about Jenkins is it runs as a service. So we can say sudo system control start Jenkins, right? You can say sudo system control status Jenkins to see. Oh, what did I do? System control. That is Jenkins. And you see the screen tells us Jenkins is running nicely.
Excuse me, Yinka.
Yes.
I was trying to follow, but kind of got behind. What are the steps for after connecting?
Just follow for now. Just
Okay.
follow for now. Yeah, just follow for now. Yeah. Because you will miss a step. I'm going because I want to try to get this done in an hour and 15
Okay.
minutes.
Got
Yeah.
it.
I will
Okay.
be moving very quickly.
No problem.
So, all right. So once we have that set up, right? We now have Jenkins running, and it says Jenkins is running on. Well, so Jenkins usually it will be running on port 8080, right? Off the server. So if we look at this documentation right here, right, we can see that it was started successfully, right? So we need, so you see this by default Jenkins runs on port 8080. So we have to open it on the computer's firewall. So we have to do this here, right? And then we can check the status here. And it's important when you're following instructions, you have to follow them step by step, right? So it's inactive. What? Okay, we're done. Here.
So right below it, there was something about inactive where you were before.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come back to that. I want to see. Let's run that here. Now, of course, we don't have the routing rules for that. So the server is currently not listening on anything. And we could report. All right. So there's nothing happening, right? So first thing that we need on this server that we don't have set up yet is the
Inbound rules?
no, the security groups. Right, yes, you're right. You're right about it. Our inbound rules and outbound rules, right? So the inbound rules on this does not have traffic going to 8080. So we do need to set up our inbound rules so that traffic can go to port 8080. So if we click on the security group right there and the inbound rules for the security group, okay, we're going to edit the inbound rules and we're going to add a new rule, that's custom TCP, and the port range we want it to go to port 8080, right? And from anywhere. All right.
Yep.
And we can save these rules. Okay. And when we save these rules, let's try this again. Okay. That works. That literally was it. So now we have access to our Jenkins server through port 8080. Okay. So what we did was we set inbound rules so that it will accept traffic will be routed on that through that port from any location. So now we're here at Unlock Jenkins. This is a one-time thing, and it tells you here you have to get the admin password from here, right? So you need to open this file up on the server to get a password. So we just copy this here, and we can come here to the server, and you can use a command like less, right? Oh, we have to sudo it. So it will be sudo. Wait, no, what's that? I'm just doing sudo less. This is a different one. Cat here, so that it outputs it out here to the stream. You can copy this. Command Shift, Control Shift C for me on my computer. So copy that. And you can paste this here. And enter. Okay. So that has us signed into Jenkins now. And we'll just go with install selected plugins. Okay. Which will have the server essentially set itself up.
I can see GitHub on it already.
What do you say?
I see GitHub.
Yeah. It's one of the default, well, the recommended plugins. So you see Git right here. There's Subversion, and there's Ants. Gradle is for Java and all of that. Okay, and then I need to create an admin user. So I'm going to create me. And let's just see. And then password. Confirm password. And then here, full name, right? And here. All right. Okay. The instance configuration. This is the Jenkins URL. I can leave it as that. Yeah, that's fine. Just save that. All right, so Jenkins is ready. First step complete. Okay. Now the next step here is that we need to connect Jenkins to GitHub. So what we need here, and we can't have Jenkins, I don't want us to use a username and password connection. I want Jenkins to use an SSH key to connect, right? So it's not tied to me as an individual per se. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to say sudo -u Jenkins, because Jenkins has its own user. So it runs as a different user on the machine. Sorry. So what did I do? No, not -u. All right, so now I am there as Jenkins. I've switched. This is switch user. Okay, SU switch user. So sudo switch user to Jenkins. All right. So now I'm here as the Jenkins user. I'm going to generate an SSH key, and it's a simple command: SSH-keygen. And I'll just go with all the defaults. Just keep pressing enter. And then what this does is it creates a .ssh folder for you. Okay, and there it has the private key and the public key. This public key is what you need to put in GitHub so that Jenkins can connect to GitHub. All right, so we're gonna output this public key. So I use the cat command. So sh/idrsa.pub. Output the public key. I'm going to copy this, and then we can now add it as a deploy key in our GitHub. All right, so we'll come here. Let's switch over. Let's come to GitHub. Where's GitHub here? There's GitHub. This is the project we're interested in. So we'll come to this project, and I'll come to the settings here. I'll come to deploy keys. All right, I'll say add a deploy key. And this is Jenkins server. All right, and then I'll paste this here. Okay, the add key. Okay, so now we have the Jenkins server key. You see it says never use read only. Let's do this again. Yes, delete that. I'm gonna do it again. Jenkins server, and I'll give it write access for now. All right, never used and has freedom write access. Okay, the next thing that we want to do here, we're still in this repo and settings. We want to set up a webhook. Okay, and this webhook is what makes GitHub trigger Jenkins. Okay, that's what will make GitHub trigger Jenkins when something happens. So you create a webhook, and you see when we configure it, you see exactly what that will do. So we're going to come here. Let me copy this address because I'll need it. Let's go back to our instances and our software dev Jenkins. Let's take this address here. Copy that. And come here. And this is going to be HTTPS. Right? Port 8080 / git. I think it is git webhook, something like that. We'll double check this later. And then down here, we're not going to use, I'm not going to change these. But here, let me select particular individual events. I'm doing this so you can see what the options are for what GitHub will send to Jenkins. So we have it set up, by default, it's just a push event, right? But we can actually change what triggers it. So you can, you can have it to be triggered on check runs, on commit comments, branch or type, deletion, deployments, all kinds of stuff, right? For now, we'll just leave it at pushes. So let me say just a push event, okay? So we'll add this webhook. And
the push event is somebody putting something in GitHub.
Well, no, the push event is whenever, if I do this here, I'm gonna put another terminal, here this. All right, if I do this, so I'm in, what's it? Beanstalk demo, right?
Yeah.
And git status. Oh, what did I do? Okay, nothing here. Then server. Wait, what I have in here? Oh. What have we been playing with? Okay, yeah. So right now, let's see. Let's look at the repo. So you see here, it's never fired here, right?
Yeah.
This hook has never been triggered. All right. That's going to be stock demo. Let's see what I have here. Yeah, here is server.js, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Git pull origin master. All right, there you go. Okay, so I have server.js. Then, all right. So if I come here and I say, let's just remove this, right? Just so I have changes to commit, right? Git commit -am, removed process that have also log, right? Git push origin master. So now that I've pushed it, it is actually going to try to trigger that webhook. So if we come back here to settings, and we come to webhooks, you see that? It fired,
Yeah.
but we got a
No.
403.
Yeah. Which means admin, you haven't got the right admin levels. Is that correct?
Yeah. So this 403 is the response from my Jenkins, right?
Okay.
So let's just make sure I have the right URL, because I may have the wrong URL set up. Okay. So we're going to say Jenkins. No, let's say Jenkins. Yeah. GitHub webhook URL. Let's see. I'm just looking for that URL. Is GitHub -webhook. So I made a mistake. So that's what I'm missing. It's GitHub -webhook. So that 403 is why. So we're going to edit this. So the URL here is going to be GitHub. This last part here, I did git -webhook. So it's supposed to be GitHub.
So that response you got back is actually from your instance, right?
Yes, it's from my Jenkins.
Got. Oh, from a Jenkins. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's from Jenkins.
Oh yeah, sorry, of course, yeah. Sorry, your Jenkins is on your instance. So yeah, yes.
So it is from Jenkins, and so the reason I got this 403 back was because it was a bad attempt. So let's see if I try to do another push here. Yeah, this repository is for demonstrating ElasticBeanstalk capabilities in AWS. All right. So I'm gonna git add to add that file. Git commit added a readme file. Right. Git push origin. And I have to do origin master because of how I set up the repo. Okay, so that's not something that you typically have. This still failed. The 403. Okay, so it still failed with the 403. This might be a problem that we need to fix from Jenkins. So let's leave it for now. We'll come back into Jenkins. Oh, here's what it is. So let's come back to this repo here. And this is Jenkins, right? Let's clone this project because we want Jenkins and GitHub to know each other. What I found is usually helpful is to come into on the Jenkins box, actually do a git clone. And here's the reason, this question right here. So you can say yes, and then it becomes a known host, right? So now we can remove Beanstalk demo. Where is it? Okay. Um, all right, I'm just deleting that folder. So we've set it up now where Jenkins knows the GitHub server. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create a Jenkins pipeline, right? So pipeline is a series of steps essentially taken to build an application, right? It could be, so like you might have a step where you run unit tests, where you check code quality, and then you create a build package, and then you deploy that package somewhere, right? That's a Jenkins pipeline. So we're going to do what's called a scripted pipeline here. I will have the file in this application so that you can copy it and work with it, all right? I won't go through the details of a scripted pipeline, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy let me copy a scripted pipeline I already have here so that we have a quick start. Sorry, I didn't provide a destination. All right, so here I'm going to edit the scripted pipeline, and I'm just going to take out the different steps or the different stages. So let's skip this step, skip the setup step, set up the code, skip the code quality and the test step. Skip the build step. We're just going to go with the deploy step. Actually, I'll read the build step because I'll use that to skip. All right. And then the deploy step. This is what we want to do here in our deploy step. So we'll do something like this. We'll come back to this later. All right. But for now, we just want to, we're going to say in the, not in the web app directory. Yeah. So these here, what you see here, sh are shell commands. Essentially, what this Jenkins file will do will be to type out, run these commands on the command line. That's what these are. So these are the commands I would type on the command line normally, right? So I don't want it to do this. I don't want it to do this. And I want it to zip to up here. And we'll call this Beanstalk demo, right? I want to copy everything in this folder. All right. Okay. Take out. That, all right. And so the file that we want to actually, let me do this. What's the S3 bucket that we want to use for this? Let's use the one that we already have set up with the Lambda function, right? So let's come here. The one I already had set up with that Lambda function from last week, or from last week, was this one, right? Subdev, no, sdev lambda, right? So this is the S3 bucket that we're going to use, so which is going to be right. So we'll do that here. So that's here. That's here. All right. And we don't want this. Nope.
Excuse me, what about the upload line that has working directory web app?
I'll fix that. I'll fix that.
Okay.
I want to get rid of this first. All right, so this is what I need to do. So the bucket I want is this, and the path is that, right? And then include pattern. Okay, so this deletes any previous file, which is start demo.zip, right? And then it uploads a new file, which is actually, all right. Now I'll show you how we can figure this out from Jenkins. Okay, so let's just leave this for now, and this is fine. Just leave this for now. It's okay for us to get started. So let's come into Jenkins now. Okay, and I'm going to add this and push git commit. No, sorry, git add, right? Git commit. Added Jenkins file, right? Git push version master. All right, so let's look at GitHub. I don't expect it to have solved that problem yet. Come here to settings. And we look at our webhooks. Yeah, it's still filling, but that's fine.
Now you have 405, or was it 405 before?
No. Last delivery was not successful. Invalid HTTP response. Fine. That's fine. So that's a different error code. Yes, you're right about that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. So in Jenkins now, we're going to create a new item, right? And we are going to make it a pipeline. Okay. We need to give it a name, so to be Beanstalk demo, right? You say okay. So this is our new Beanstalk demo pipeline, right? The first section here, so description, you can put a description here, don't bother about it. Discard old builds, this is nice for saving space if you need to, we won't bother with that. Do not allow concurrent builds. That's if you don't want multiple pushes to trigger a build at the same time. You want them to line up to queue rather than be concurrent. You want them to run consecutively. Then do not allow the pipeline to resume if the master restarts. That's a whole different thing. GitHub project, this is the one that we need, that we're really interested in. So the GitHub project URL, and the thing with Jenkins, you can always see the question mark here to get more details. Okay, so the project URL for this project, and I think I'm going to just pull this here, see what they're side by side. Let's keep going here. Let's have this here. So the project URL here is this. That's the URL to the GitHub project. Okay, it's not the repository URL. So here, this is the project URL. Okay, and then pipeline speed, whatever, these are all different options. Won't go into the details right now. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Build triggers, right? You can build after other projects are built periodically. What we want is for it to be triggered automatically by GitHub webhook, right? Hold on. I'll see which one. Well, let's try this first. Let's see. We'll leave the triggers for now, and we're just going to say use a pipeline script from SCM. SCM is GitHub, right? GitHub is the source control management system. Remember, Git is the source control management system. So we're going to say use a pipeline script. Remember, I added my Jenkins file here, right? This Jenkins file here is a pipeline script, and it is in my Git repo, right? So that is the option we're choosing here, is to use the pipeline script that I added in my Git repo. And it asks for the name of the script, which is Jenkins file.merge. That's why I called it for some reason. And what SCM? Git. Okay. So we say Git is the SCM. And then now it's asking for the repository URL. Remember, that's different from the project URL. So the repository URL now is the URL that you use in your git clone command, which is that. So copy that here. And since we use the SSH key, we can try to use the SSH URL. So if I paste this here, and I click out of here, it's tried to connect and it connected successfully. If it couldn't connect successfully, like if I did that, it would give you an error. But since I have the right SSH key in there as a deploy key, this confirms you can connect successfully. And then the branch to build, we're just going with master. That's the only branch that we have. Okay. And I can say save. And let's see. Now that I've saved, I've created this Beanstalk demo, and we can run it and see. So just click on build now. And let's see if it runs. Okay, it runs and it fails almost immediately. Okay, we can see why it failed. Yeah. It's failing because of an error in our pipeline script. It said expected that, and it found that. So we need to just look at our pipeline script here. And so there's a place where, okay, right here. There. I didn't close that. I had this opening with 3 quotes. I didn't close it. So that is coming and fixed. And let's look at GitHub here. It still hasn't triggered it. Well, we'll fix that. Let's see what that is about. What it's here. Let's still get an invalid response here. Oh, wait, let's edit this. Just looking for application data, maybe. Okay, okay. Is that why? No, that's not why. All right, we'll come back. We'll fix this later. But first, let's get it to build manually, and then we'll solve getting it to build automatically. So let's come here again and click on build now. All right, this time it seems to, yes. So there's no bug in our script, so it's actually doing stuff now. Okay, so now it's run. Yes.
So what it's doing now, just following the instructions you wrote in that little pipeline thing you wrote.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. So here, so it says zip not found. Right? So that means we don't have zip installed on the server. So we need to come back here to the Jenkins server and say sudo apt install yzip. Okay. That's what it's complaining about here. Zip not found. Right, so that's an unknown command. So now that I've installed it, let's run this pipeline again. Just say build now. You can come here, and you can click on here to go straight to the console. All right, so you see that it's zipping, it added everything. Error when executing, always post condition. All right. So our zipping is fine now, right? It zipped just fine. Now we have, this is a problem in our script, so let's just come to the script right there. And we have an always condition, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get rid of this because that's a reporting thing. We don't need it here. I'm going to commit this again. So you see, you notice commit messages, you have to kind of be a little descriptive about what is in that commit. All right. So there, it's also helpful if you work on your typing so that your typing speed will be decent. So the faster you can type, the easier it is. All right, so what happened here? Build number 4 died because of error when executing, failure. Okay, yeah, so why did it fail? Oh, no such DSL method with AWS. Okay, so there's a plugin that we're probably missing, right? So we don't have the DSL method. Let me show you something that's helpful. If you come here to pipeline steps, right? This shows you all the steps that they try to execute, right? In the pipeline. Now, if you come here, and you come to pipeline syntax, this actually will help you write the correct syntax. So what I'm trying to do right now with AWS does not exist because I don't have the AWS plugin installed. So let's just quickly do that. So we come here to Jenkins. We're going to come to manage Jenkins, right? And we're going to manage plugins. And then we'll come to available. That's where we look for plugins that aren't yet installed. And you can search on the top right here, you can search for AWS, right? And so you can see the different plugins that we have. AWS deployment, AWS Lambda. What we're looking for is let me see. I want the Jenkins with AWS. Okay, which plugin has that? Pipeline AWS plugin. Let's see, is that the one? Maybe. Yes, that's the one. So we're looking for pipeline AWS plugin.
I think we passed one.
Pipeline AWS publisher, I think, right? Did you see it?
I thought I saw a pipeline.
Okay, let's see. Pipeline AWS steps. Let's see. AWS.
So no code pipeline.
No, not code pipeline. That's a different thing. Well, what I'll do is, let me see. Hold on 1 second. Let's do this again. We'll do AWS steps. Okay, let's do this. AWS steps. That's fine. Pipeline AWS steps. What is it? This one. So to install it, we'll just check this box here. Come on. And then we'll say, come on, install it and start. see this. Jenkins. Okay. Excuse me for 1 second. Quick bathroom break while we're waiting for that. Oh, it is back. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're back now. All right. Let's try this now. No. Cross switches. Okay, so we have our plugins installed. Let's try that build again. One more time. So we'll come here. Look, it's thunderous. It's stormy. Our build is very stormy. And that's because it's been failing quite a few times. So running the pipeline. Okay, that's it. Okay, it's failed again. Why did it fail this time? Cannot find a username. Okay, so there you go. We're in a good place now. Now what we're missing, right? And let's come back here. All right, let's come here. And I'm going to take out these failure steps as well. Just take out the whole post block. Then need this. This post block is after the build, what you want it to do, and then you can say what it does on success. Like if you want it to email, send out an email, or on failure, if you want it to email the developer saying, hey, your build failed. There's so many things you can do in the post step. You can do for success, for failure, and for always. So, but what's failing right now is that the credentials I have here, right, are not valid for the bucket that I want to access. So we're going to go into some things that we've only lightly touched. but let's explore. Dakwa probably knows how we can solve this. Or anyone, does anyone have any idea how we can solve this error? This cannot find the username with password credentials with ID Jenkins S3.
Security?
Yeah, it is kind of security related. But what we're missing is an IAM user,
Okay.
right? Identity and access management. So let's look at IAM here. And the reason is, I mean, of course, we can't just allow any random script to put stuff in a private S3 bucket, right?
Sure.
True.
That bucket we're trying to connect to is private. So if we look at that S3 bucket, this bucket here is private. Come back to S3, see the dev lambda. Buckets and objects are not public. It's a private bucket, so we need an IAM user that has the privileges on this. So we're going to come here to IAM, right, which is identity and access management. Okay. And you have different groups, users, roles, policies, etc. We actually did something with roles and policies yesterday, right? I mean, the last time when we were setting up the policies for the Lambda function to be able to manage ElasticBeanstalk,
Yeah.
right? So if we look at users here, let's see what users we have. Let's create a new IAM user, right? We're going to call this sdev Jenkins, right? And then the access type, programmatic access. We don't need that user to have access to the management console. Okay? So this enables an access key ID and access and secret access key for AWS. All right. So next, let's talk about the permissions, right? We can either add the user to a group, or we can copy permissions from an existing user, or we can attach existing policies directly. Let's do that. This looks familiar, right? This is how we added the AWS Beanstalk full access tree. Remember this? AWS Elastic. You remember when we added this?
This was for Lambda, wasn't it?
Yes, it was for the Lambda. So now this time we want to give it S3. So it will be AWS S3, right? No, what's it? S3, Amazon S3. Yes. So we want S3 full access. Okay. That's the role, that's the policy we want to attach. Okay. And do we want to add any tags to this user? No tags. Well, just add a name tag. Name. All right. And then we'll preview this. Right. sdev-Jenkins. Search for full access. Dev Jenkins. I'll say create user. Okay. This is the access key ID. And this is the secret. So we need here, not in here, because you don't put your authentication credentials in your code, right? We need to come into Jenkins and actually create that user. Okay. So come into Jenkins, credentials, right? Sorry, hold on. No. It's always very annoying. Oh, come in here. No, come on. What's that annoying step? It's a little weird thing. Manage Jenkins. Configure credentials. Yes, here. And then wanna add new item. Oh no, come on. Um, nope, not that. I hate when I get stuck on this. It's a very annoying little thing here. Let's see. Configure system. No. What we want to do is we want to create credentials. Configure credential providers and type. Provider. There you go. Add credential. This is what we want to do. Add credential.
Yeah.
AWS credentials.
I was Googling it, but then once I saw that you already got it. Yeah.
So that's where it is. Okay, so now what we want to do is we define an ID that we want to call it. So we can just use what we have in the script, which is Jenkins ID. Right? Let me see. Is that what we called it in the script right here? Jenkins S3. Okay. And then we'll add the access key ID, which is from our IAM role here. So let's add the secret first. Since that's already highlighted. So if you come here, add the access key, which is the secret. Now we can come here.
What's the difference between the two?
So one is a key and one is a secret. It's like username and password.
Oh, okay.
So the key. Yeah. So you need the key and the secret. So if we add the key. All right. Let's make sure there's no space there, which there is. And then the secret. Let's copy the secret again. Okay. Copy that secret here. And let's paste that here. All right. And we can save this now. All right. So now we have our Jenkins S3 credential. Okay. And so now let's see if, let's come here to our S3 bucket. Go to our sdev lambda. Let's delete these files. Okay. So we've deleted those files now. And so we're going to come try to run our build here. So come to our Beanstalk demo. I'll say build now. Okay. Let's look at this. All right. So it still failed because it says cannot find a username with password creation credentials with. Oh. The typo here, Jenkins. I blame Ralph for not catching that typo.
My bad.
AWS. All right, so push that. Let's come back here. And let's try that build again. Let's see what it tells us. Okay. So this is the last thing. It says, what about this does not exist? All right. This is fine. We will. It's complain about this. That's the question you were asking.
Yes.
Right, working directory. And so let's look at that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to say S3 bucket include pattern, right? So if we come here, let's come right back here and look at pipeline syntax, right? And if we scroll down here, let's see if we see S3 upload, right? That's the one that S3 upload, right? So this is the action we're trying to do, S3 upload. And these are all the variable options, right? So if you look at working directory, what is this? Look at this documentation here.
Sorry, if we fill this form in, does it just create the same scripts you're typing that manually?
No, if you fill this in, let's do it. Let's do what you say. Do what you say. What's the bucket? S3 dev, sdev lambda, right? The bucket is sdev lambda, right? And okay, included file pattern. Right. Include pattern. Okay. And work directory, we'll leave it there. And we say generate sample script. That's what it does for us. It generates that line. It doesn't include it in our build.
Okay.
But it gives us that line that we need.
Nice.
And we can trim it. Okay. So right now, let's take out working directory and let's see what we have. All right. And so let's commit this. Let's commit FNAM. So that's how, if you don't know what the syntax is, it's a very useful tool. Unfortunately, it's out of scope of this for me to talk through the Jenkins pipeline syntax. But just so you know, right there in Jenkins, it will help you build the syntax, even if you don't know it at all, right? It will help you build it. So git commit -am fix S3 upload parameters. Okay, push version master. So I'm making these changes on my local. I always have to push it to GitHub first because when I do the build, Jenkins will pull from GitHub and then get the file and then try to run it. So let's see. Look at this. Look at that. Success.
Yeah.
Yay!
We actually have success. And that success means that we have a blue orb here after all the red, right? And that also means we come to S3 and we refresh this bucket.
There it is, isn't it?
Oh, you know what we did? We uploaded everything.
Oh, instead of just the one file.
Yeah, not just the one file. So what we want to do, we don't want to upload everything. We want to upload. So the include pattern is not everything. We want to include beanstalk demo.zip, right? And then this is where the working directory pattern comes into play. So let's do this. So all we want is to include beanstalk demo.zip, and our working directory is one step above, right? So let's try this now. So let's come here and let's delete everything. But at least the upload worked. We just didn't upload all we wanted. Uploaded the entire folder. So we do want just that file. Actually, no. This is what we do. Look, let's look at this pipeline syntax again. S3 upload. Where is it? S3 upload, right?
There it is. Yeah.
Right. What we want is to upload beanstalk demo.zip, right? And we want it to be in the sdev lambda bucket. I want the working directory to be slash.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we can actually try copying this entire line here. Okay. Let's see if we can. Okay. Now these empty ones we can remove. So we can remove that. Remove that. Which other one? Let's remove all the way. All right.
You have two SS behind the algorithm. Oh, okay, maybe I'm still working on it.
Yeah. All right, so here, I think this is good.
So what was all the extra bit that you just deleted?
They're just empty fields.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're empty fields, so I don't need them. Right. So this is it's formatted kind of like JSON, but it's not JSON. You see there's no commas at the end. Right. This is YAML. It's another format.
What do you call it? YAML?
Yes. YAML. Right. It's a whole different format. There's lots of them. All right, so git commit -m fixed pipeline S3 upload configuration. Git push master. All right, and then let's come here. Let's try this again. Now, let's see what it says.
Yes, success.
Success.
And so let's hope it only did one file.
Yeah. Refresh. And we have the beanstalk demo that's zip. And so let's look at our beanstalk now and see. ElasticBeanstalk. Come on. Ooh, degraded. But at least that means something triggered, right?
Yes, it's good news.
Yes, it is good news. Oh, it's no longer degraded.
Ah.
And let's look at the time.
Yep.
Is that today?
Yeah, yes. Yep. Oh, no. 10, yeah, 10.
6:10, yeah, that's today. That's right now. 7:32.
Yep.
Look at that, automatically.
So what happened on that fourth line where it kind of had an error?
The reason it was degraded, look, if you look at this, it tried to deploy all the files you uploaded before.
Ah, got you.
See, try to create an application version off of the README. So now I will just delete all these application versions.
So there's a slight danger here because a git push is literally a deployment.
A git push, yes. In this case, a git push would be a deployment, yes. And the reason that is the reason you would want to do that, right, is because of what is called continuous integration, continuous delivery.
Okay.
Which is what Jenkins is. Jenkins is a great tool for implementing CI/CD. CI/CD is CI/CD is a huge plus if you know how to set up CI/CD pipelines or CI/CD environments.
I had to take it off my resume because I didn't know anything about it. So I said, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So what we did right now is CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. All the developer needs to do is push, and it goes all the way. Everything's automated all the way to deployment.
So I take it that in a real life scenario, the quality control aspect would be in the Jenkins steps.
Yes, it will be automated as well.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
It would be automated. So it will run all the steps. It will run all the tests it needs to run. It will do everything it needs to do to certify the quality.
So yeah, so the whether it's a release manager or I don't know the developer, he would have put so many steps in that Jenkins script saying run these tests. If that passes, then do this, then do that, then do that. Until all this is fine, then hand it over to S3 in this case.
Then deploy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say we can implement CI/CD pipeline. Would that be the way?
So what we just created right now is a CI/CD pipeline.
Okay.
Right? Because it goes all the way from building to deployment. But what we've done is not fully CI/CD because we only deployed one branch. We didn't do any test integration, so we didn't test the merge. Okay. So this is actually just continuous delivery side of CI/CD. The continuous integration part of it, we haven't done because right now, so here's what's different, what we haven't done yet It's not continuous. Let's actually fix that. I had to come here and trigger it. You get what I mean? It wasn't triggered automatically by me pushing. I had to come here and click build now. So it's still manual. Okay. So in the traditional manual model, a tool like Jenkins will still be used to do the build and deployment. You don't have a person copying the files onto the server. Okay. For this to be continuous delivery, we need to sort out this GitHub webhook that is not happening. Okay. We need to sort this out. And
So because you can fix that, you just clicked manual.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. So now let's fix that. Let's fix that. So GitHub right now is giving us a 405 back. Okay. I actually know why. Because I need a trailing slash here. I believe is the problem. If I'm not mistaken, that means something. So it's triggering automatically, but it is just getting the response back. So let's come here, and I'm just gonna clean up this step together. Let's try this again and see. And you see that every push that we've done, GitHub has tried. See, finally, success. And you know what the problem was? The trailing slash. We need a trailing slash on this URL. I'm not going to tell you how many hours of suffering it took me in the past to realize that. But that's it. This is now able to come here.
So are we now continuous?
We're not yet continuous because even though that happened, it's not triggered. It's not set up as a trigger here. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to come to the configuration of this pipeline, right? And count. So let's come to the configure. Let's configure. Because this pipeline doesn't have a trigger, it's manually triggered. So we need to come here to the build triggers, right? And GitHub hook trigger. Where's the encoding? I think that's what we need. Just to be sure, let's look at that. Okay, so let's try this here. Let's try that. All right. Okay, so let's watch this. If it worked, then boom, you see it? Did you see it show up?
I saw it.
And it's built and deployed automatically. So now we have continuous delivery. Okay, now let's try something here. Let's try something. I'm going to say on this screen, Dapo or Ralph, anyone, can you, you already have the Beanstalk demo repo cloned, right?
I don't.
I have a version.
You have it cloned, right? Yeah, so do a git pull, and
Okay.
change something in the README and commit and push. I'm going to leave this screen up so that you can see how that actually automatically kicks off this build.
Oh, okay. Because I just realized, because this is where I'll push it as well.
Yes, we're in the same repo. So do a git pull.
All right, wait, give me a second. Beanstalk, yes, I'm on it as well. All right, so that's it. Git pull. Yeah, got your documents, and
So just edit that markdown file, the README markdown.
okay.
And you know, like the stuff we used to add in high school, DACO was here.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I apologize, but I'm doing it a very manual way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's changed. So I'll do git commit. Comment added. Yep, and then I'm going to do a push now. So let's wait for the magic.
Just watch my screen.
Yeah, I've done a push. Oh, God. Incredible. This is actually scary as well. This is kind of scary.
Now, let me even show you even better. Let's come into that particular build. Right? Look at that.
It's grasped me up.
You see that?
Yeah, it's grasped me up. Oh, to everybody. So I can't even lie. That wasn't me.
Yeah. So this is in cybersecurity, this is what they call non-repudiation. You can't claim you didn't do it. Non-repudiation. So that's the beauty of it. This is a level of automation that is, it just makes life so much easier.
So what we did is we created a Jenkins server on an EC2 instance.
Yes.
And this Jenkins server, its purpose is to help us control deployments. And so in there, somebody will create all the steps. When you get this file, do A, B, C, D to it, do this testing on it, do compile it, zip it, blah, 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 and then put it in S3.
Yes.
And then when we did that, when we did that to EC2 and we put the Jenkins on, we now went to GitHub and linked GitHub to that Jenkins server.
Yes. We created a webhook.
Yeah, webhook. So now, this is the bit where I'm struggling. It almost looked like we did it both ways. We did the webhook, but we also had to go into the EC2 server to allow permissions. It's IAM, if I remember correctly. So okay.
So let me talk through the different pieces and how they are connected.
Okay.
Right? So we have the flow of communication that we have, right? First, we have GitHub to Jenkins.
Yep.
That is through a webhook. Okay?
Yes.
And that's set up to notify Jenkins on a push.
Okay.
All right? Then we have the Jenkins job, the pipeline that we created. We created a pipeline.
Yep.
For the pipeline script. But we created that pipeline to get the script from an SCM script, right?
Yes.
Which is here. So I can show you that just so you remember. So in our pipeline configuration, right, the pipeline we set up to be script from SCM. And we
Okay.
said the SCM we're using is Git.
Yes.
Okay. And we provided the repository URL for our Git. Okay.
Yep.
And then, and then the branch is master, and then the name of the file, right? The name of the Jenkins file. In our case, we called it Jenkins file.merge. So for this to happen, Jenkins needs to be able to connect to Git. You see now this is now a connection from Jenkins to Git to do a pull.
Yep.
Because Jenkins needs to go into Git and pull the repo, this repo. It pulls this repo and then looks in it for this file, which is why it always has the latest version of the file.
Okay.
Okay, so it pulls this file and then it executes it.
Right. So can I just clarify? And that Jenkins file is the pipeline file. Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's the script. It's called the scripted pipeline.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Because you can manually set up a pipeline in Jenkins.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I guess that's a bit I kind of missed. That Jenkins that pipeline file was actually it's in GitHub.
Yes, it is. So that is why I'm editing it locally, which is why whenever I change the file, I had to do a commit and a push. So this file I've been editing locally. This is the Jenkins file.
Okay. So technically, it's this file.
Mm-hmm.
So when it triggers, it's this file that Jenkins reads and goes, right, okay, this is what you want me to do.
Yes.
And that file's not in Jenkins itself. It's sat in where
GitHub.
I found my release, my package. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Got you.
Now, so Jenkins pulls from GitHub, opens up the file, and then executes it as the pipeline. Okay? So you see that there's communication two ways. One from GitHub to Jenkins. The one from GitHub to Jenkins is a webhook. It's a trigger. It's, hey, Jenkins, wake up. I have new changes. Jenkins is like, okay, gotcha. New changes. Goes to GitHub and pulls those new changes. And then looks for the file that it knows, because we've created the pipeline to execute this file. Executes the file. Now, for Jenkins to be able to connect to GitHub, we had to create a key pair in Jenkins.
Yep.
Right? We had to create a key pair. We use the SSH key gen to generate a new SSH key pair. And we copied the public key. It's very important. You don't copy the private key. We copied the public key.
And we put it in GitHub.
And we put it in GitHub.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
Set it up as a deploy key in GitHub. So right here on the repo, we set up a deploy key and we added that public key. You see now it's green and it says last used. So which is what allows Jenkins to pull from GitHub.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Now the final piece of this puzzle was having Jenkins then upload the file to S3. Okay. For that, we installed a plugin called the AWS Steps plugin. We had to install that in Jenkins. right?
That's
So,
correct. Yes. Yes.
yeah, so we installed the AWS Steps plugin. And then we also had to create an IAM user for Jenkins, right? So we
Yeah.
created an IAM user for Jenkins, and we attached a policy, an IAM policy directly to it. And that policy was the S3 full access policy. Okay? So we attached
Yeah.
that S3 full access policy to the IAM user. And then in Jenkins, we added those credentials as Jenkins credentials. Right? So that Jenkins now can authenticate itself, because we don't want to put credentials in the code.
Okay. Okay.
Remember, you avoid putting credentials in code.
Yes. 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 Makes
You always
sense.
have
Yeah.
to put them as environment variables or somewhere in the system that will use it, but not in the code base that you're committing to GitHub. So we created those credentials so that we have an ID that we can put just the ID, the alias in the code, and then Jenkins will pick up the credentials based off of the alias. And, oh, excuse me. I provide those to AWS when we're
Okay.
authenticating. And that's it. And then that's it. When the job fires, Jenkins zips the files up, right, into
Yeah.
the beanstalk demo.zip and uploads it to S.
Okay.
And then we have the Lambda function. The rest of it is history. You already know how the rest of it works. There's the Lambda function that's on the trigger to S3. It's connected to the beanstalk. We wrote all that code in the last class. And this is end to end now for automation deployment to S3, to beanstalk with Jenkins and GitHub. Right?
Yeah.
Any question?
We have to do some review.
Yes.
We're going to do. But
I will greatly recommend. Here's what I will greatly recommend. Create a repo. You can clone the Beanstalk demo repo, right?
yes.
No, you can fork it. So if you come here to Beanstalk demo, you can fork. So rather than cloning and downloading, right? What's that fork option?
I already cloned though.
Yeah, so cloning is to your local.
Yes.
But what you want to do is you want to create your own GitHub
branch
repo off of this.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
So I have my own repository.
Okay. Oh yes, yes. So I can't fork it because I own this actually. But you see at the top here, there's a fork option.
Yes.
So if you come here, there's a fork. You can fork it into your own account.
Okay, let me see.
And then you clone that onto your local system. So when you fork, the path changes. It's not going to be under software development training, whatever.
It's saying cannot fork because it is disabled.
Oh, because it's a private repo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just create your own repo. Create your own repo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got my repo. So I'm going to try and get it to deploy to my own beanstalk.
Yes.
Copy.
Yeah. So create your Jenkins server, right? So create an EC2 instance, C2 micro
right. So that Jenkins I need to. So let me just write down. I remember we need to install Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay. Install zip, I think.
Yes. You have to install zip. You have to install Java. Default
Yeah, that's install Java. Yeah. Was there anything else we did? Anyway, there's Google. I can follow Google. So what I'm going to do is try and do it without watching a video.
Yes, try to do it. Try to think through the pieces logically. Right.
This would be a nightmare. But
let me tell you, when you are done, the amount of stuff that you would have learned, and you wouldn't have just learned them, they'll be permanent. Because you burned them in literally,
the hardest way possible.
It's. I think that's a really, really good way to go about it. Just try to do it. try to do
Hmm.
it. Now you have the video. I'll say, I mean, use the video for reference if you need to, but try to give it a shot without the video to see how much of it you actually remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All
When will the
right.
video be ready?
It's I will. I'll put it up. It should be ready in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this time I'll wait. I'll wait with it. We'll end the call, ASAP, and then I have to end the meeting for it to start processing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Once I follow it, yep, I should be good.
All right. All right. Any other questions before we end this?
No.
I hope
No.
this was. Yeah. Oh, you mean after party?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can do a very quick after party. Well, I hope this was helpful. This was fun. Was this?
Yeah.
A little.
I was getting lost. You put it back. You put it back towards the end.
All right. All right. All right.
Cool. All right.
All right. Okay, so I'll stop recording and we can do after party and then I'll render the video and put it up.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Inka, and a good evening.
All right. Thanks.